All right. Yes, I cut the countdown clock a little short. Oh well, it is what it is. Let's let those notifications go out. As I said a couple of days ago on YouTube with one of our Let's Just Chat shows, I do believe. I told y'all, yes, God willing, we're getting up here. Motivational Monday. That's right. All right. So while those notifications go out, I just want to let everybody know that I will periodically check the comments as always as they come in. And then I want to remind everybody that the Motivational Monday show, okay, just like the CHA show, when it's in season, they are structured for advertising, okay? And so I want y'all to just know that ahead of time that about every 15 minutes or so, we're going to take a short 60 seconds or less break to let y'all know what we got available for you. And so while those notifications are going out, come on in, everybody. Yeah, for those who don't know, there's myself. We don't do the pagan tradition. Okay, mm-mm, we don't celebrate none of that stuff no more. All right. I know a lot of people still do. Listen, if you got kids, I get it. I get it. So, sound check in place. Okay, very good, very good. All right, so yes, got a message for y'all from God. Says track your progress. Because some of y'all sitting there wondering why it seems like everything's at a standstill. It's not. God is always working. So let's get these formalities out of the way. All right. I know some people may have just popped in for a couple of minutes, and then once I let them know I do not celebrate these pagan traditions, it is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat. Okay, because a lot of people don't realize that even God tells us how long, right? How long are we going to continue with man traditions that do nothing but feed the flesh? Yep, fleshy desires. Anywho, let's get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yes, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Motivational Monday Show. That's right, another place where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is in the description below for quicker access. Some of you may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. And never forget, spiritual growth is getting closer to God. We learned something that throughout our lives, anything that was designed or to drive us farther away from God, yeah, we're not supposed to do that. We want to chosen ones gravitate towards things that will bring us closer to God. That's the way it's supposed to be. Because we know that the narcissistic matrix in a fallen Babylonian world out there like to keep people away from God, right? Away from pleasing God. Instead, want to keep people out there pleasing man, all right? So we can't do that. So here's another way for y'all. This is your motivation because this is what motivates me as well. Okay, because we know, chosen one, we know that results are not necessarily going to be immediate depending on what we are doing, right? Okay, we know that, for example, let's say we start a new diet and a workout routine, if you will, a regimen. It's not going to happen overnight to see the result that we're aiming for, right? We set a goal. Never forget that. You got to set the goal, right? Set the goal first. That's a given, right? Got to set the goal. Okay. So to help y'all put it in perspective, I did, okay? I did as far as for something that I had a vision for some years ago. And based on the circumstances, though, there was some things I was unable to incorporate at that time to make it happen. And so now, several years later, yep, God brought it back to my remembrance. And he said, I want you to write those numbers on that piece of paper. I said, okay. He said, I want you to write those numbers down. That's your goal. All right, there we go, a goal. Okay, and it's a fitness goal. And so he's like, okay. And then he showed me where to get, yes, he showed me where I can find, like protein powders and things like that, okay, to complement the dietary reset that we've done. Gotten back on the blood type diet, like, big time. Because God revealed to me that the healthier we eat, the faster we heal. And so we can track our progress. And for those who may not be aware, what I'm healing from is something that came with a case study that got closed in June of 2023 with a Jezebel. Yes. Within 3 to 4 months of booking session, I turned her into a case study, okay? God did first, and then told me, taking notes, and kept my subconscious awake the entire time. So, anyhow, we know that these evildoers are out here, right? Now we have to focus on what God has in front of us, right? Do what God needs us to do, what God instructs us to do. So he told me, he said, write those numbers on that paper. And then once a week, see, this the thing, y'all, I have a blog and we did a newsletter and it's in the BTBW magazine, which is now available across multiple ebook platforms and in print. Okay, yes, Amazon. Oh goodness gracious! All the places that Draft to Digital will just had distributed it to. All right, that magazine is now available more worldwide. And so, welcome, fellow warriors. Yes, hi, Chris. And I wanted to go ahead and share with you all and track your progress. You can do that, but don't watch water boil. Okay, that's the analogy I use for. Yeah, don't be taking. Let's say you got to take measurements, okay, to meet your goal. All right, that doesn't mean we're going to sit there and measure every single morning. No, that's watching water boil, and that can lead to self-discouragement, self-disappointment, and if you're not seeing results, right away. Remember, we have to unlearn that kind of stuff. That was all that impatient stuff, that indoctrination of impatience. We have to unlearn all that because it's not going to happen overnight. Especially when it comes to fitness goals, depending on where you're at physically, in this season, it's going to depend on a few things. So I have a goal up there, and he told me, he said, yes, but once a week. Measure only once a week. We don't have to do, or every 2 weeks or what have you. He said, you got the goal up there. That's what you're working towards. Because that gives us internal validation. Yes. Remember, God on the inside, right? He's guiding our steps. He said, track your progress. He said, some of y'all sitting there, working towards this or that. You've set your goal and you're working towards it, but you're finding yourself getting a bit discouraged and disappointed because you're not seeing results within 3 days, a week, or 2. You got to remember something. Just like with a lot of things, it takes time for the body to get adjusted to a new thing, right? That's natural. So it's going to take a little time. So like your body's got to get adapted to, let's say you move into a new place. All right, well, you got to get settled there first, right? And so things take time. Great things take time, right? So you set that goal, and write it down. Your eyes only. Never forget that. All right? Your eyes only. Between you and God. And so you do that. And then you find a way to track your progress. How do I do it? I have little Post-it notes. Yeah. Remember the little Then I would, when I went to the store, and I was just eyeing this little baby right here. And I said, I know it's not on the list. And God said, go ahead. He said, because you're going to use them. And so that's just one of many ways. Okay, it's a stack of Post-it notes. And so I have the date that we're going to measure again. All right, and then I have my goal. And so that's how I do it. Y'all can find whatever way works for you. A notepad, what have you. Okay, but I just take that because when that Post-it note for the new measurement goes up, the old one goes in the trash. That's how we track our progress. And we celebrate even the smallest step because, like I said in the description, that small steps are better than no steps. So don't get yourself discouraged or disappointed. Okay, if you have found yourself watching water boil, in other words, you're trying to get results quicker than they'll come in. It's not going to work that way. Because I'm still working towards mine. It's taking a little while, but we're going to get it. All right? So whoever's with me on that journey, yeah, it takes a while. Your body's got to get used to it. At the same time, your body's healing from not just trauma, but for many of us, radio frequency poisoning. Yeah. Okay. So we can't forget there's a lot of factors involved here because the healthier we eat, the faster we heal. And so our body has to eliminate those metal toxins and other toxins and stuff like that. So it takes time. And so you got to remember that too, that a lot of the traumatization, all that abuse was designed to keep your body tense. So if you've set a goal, let's say you've set a fitness goal and stuff, that's going to take time because your muscles have to relax. And you purge that subconscious, right? Remember we talked yesterday towards the at the and more part of the let's just chat, where we were talking about some tips for relaxing the autonomic nervous system. Okay, and it really is however it is you find that works for you to relax. Okay, deep breaths, stretches, right? Oh yeah, stretches are really good for that. And of course, there's other ways and things, but just know that all that traumatization, right? And then included in that was exposure, right? More exposure to radio frequency than usual. And so your body is going to fluctuate between temperature. So you're going to, as the body eliminate the metals, okay, the metal toxin and other toxin, right, everything starts to level back out. Remember, God is a God of balance. So he's reversing what the enemy tried to do. He's restoring. And he does it 100-fold. So in other words, where we were at fitness-wise, the best example I have right now, y'all can insert your, whatever it is, goal you have, okay? Insert here, and then take from the tip. You can modify and find tweaks to make them work for you. So basically, when your body undergoes some changes like that, it's going to fluctuate because the metal molecules and the salt, heat, right? The LED light provide heat, right? So it'll heat up. So you'll have certain areas of the body that'll get a little bit warmer for a time because your body's trying to get rid of it. Okay? I learned all this by researching and then also experience, okay? And paying attention, awareness, paying attention to what God is revealing to me about me and about what's going on in the body. And he reminded me about the LED lights today, by the way. So when you embark on a journey and you are healing from radio frequency poisoning, okay, you're going to experience that. So don't get discouraged. Or no. That's what the enemy would want, is to have you give up and give in. All that's happening is that fluctuation. Like for a time where I could not even really feel any cold air. Okay? Yeah, I couldn't. Now I can. Now it's starting to fluctuate because as the metal toxin eliminate from the body, I can start to experience a little bit of the coolness, right? From the air conditioner, better yet. I just to help y'all put it in perspective. And so, for anybody who's interested in learning more about this ministry and the work and how it came to fruition, one of the best ways, not just buy the survivor testimony on the website, but buy my book, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse. Time for a short break. All right, so stay tuned to hear more about how you can track your progress and other tips when we come back. Are you interested in learning how this ministry and work at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, CHA, came into fruition? The best way to learn how CHA came about is in my book, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, Someone's Survival Guide, available in PDF, audio, and paperback at CDHRWDRMD.org. You can also find my book across multiple ebook platforms and at Amazon. The audiobook is only available on my website at CDHRWDRMD.org. You will not only learn about red flags of narcissism, you will also take a walk with me on my journey into God's reality, where we begin to develop the spiritual discernment we need to fight this spiritual battle for the mind. CHA is a growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, sending love and light always. Hey, all right. Welcome back. And I got your question. Yes. Happy Motivational Monday day. That's it right there. All right, Chris, yes. If you have an excess of salt in the body, does it take a certain period of time for the body to rid itself of that salt? Well, presuming you're not taking in any more. Okay, it does, because you're not going to not intake salt. So here's another way to track your progress. So thank you for that awesome question. We know that salt is what? The body's thermostat. So, right, the more salt that we intake, the warmer those metal molecules and larger they will get, right? Okay, so here you go. Let me go ahead and show y'all again. I believe we touched on this before, but I want to go ahead and show y'all what we've been doing. Okay, see, like right here on a simple notepad, and y'all can do this however it works for you. This is tracking our progress. What we did, okay, as far as the salt, is we did a regular one day. We just said, okay, I just want you to write down an approximate. You're not going to get the exact. And remember something else too, that when you see the amount of sodium that's listed on the ingredient list, if you will, on the back of the package of whatever it is, remember, we live in a world that over-exaggerates and makes up a lot of stuff. So we don't really know if that can, let's say it's a small can of tuna, and it's telling us that in the whole can, that what can is one serving, right? So per serving, it's telling us you get 360 milligrams of sodium. We don't know if that's true. Okay, we really don't. But it's all we have to go by, right? And so that's per serving. Never forget that. When you look at that label and it tells you how much of something is in something, that's per serving. So make sure you look at the number of servings per that container as well. Okay? So what I did is I just did a simple, normal blood type diet day, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, and so I said my base, this is what you want to do first. You got to get yourself a baseline, right? Because they say that we should take in like 1,500 milligrams a day. Well, I know that before I deviated from the blood type diet, I wasn't taking in near that amount, because everything I was focused on was always no salt added, low sodium, reduced sodium. I didn't add salt. I still don't add salt. And so I came up to 120 milligrams for the whole day. Approximately. Now, you got to remember, it's an approximate. So that gave me a baseline when I realized that I need to help do something to get the excess out. And it's still occurring, But some things are like my fingers, right? My fingers are getting back to normal instead of being all wrinkly from what, look, that just lets you know right there. Okay. And then if they swell up as you're exercising or whatever, that tells you something right there too. So what I did the very next day is I wrote down, it's kind of sloppy, because I was getting started. But for breakfast, I had 1 egg, one of my soup and veggie juice, by about 80 milligrams. Then for lunch, I had some tuna salad with a lettuce wrap with some mango juice. And so because of the tuna salad with I want to say I definitely had some mayonnaise and other things. So they gave me another 80. Okay. Now 270 now between, okay, breakfast, lunch, approximate of 270. And then for dinner, I had beef, zucchini, a sweet potato, butternut squash soup, and black-eyed pea. Okay? So for the total for the day was 450 approximately. Okay, so in other words, my baseline, I wanted to help the body get rid. I wanted to reduce it close to half, at least half the baseline to start with. And then for the next day, I did the same thing. It's getting a little bit neater now, right? We did 520 milligrams. We wrote down what it was, and then the approximate of sodium intake. And then we reminded ourselves approximate. Okay, same thing for the next day, except I forgot to write down dinner. And so we got it all the way down. Let's see. And then we had some days where we finally got it to where, let me see if I can find one. Yep, 2 rice cakes with almond, 0 milligrams for breakfast, 0 sodium. Okay, and so that day I did not even take in 300 milligrams for that day. That was awesome. So it just really, it really, yeah. And then the next day, same thing for breakfast with a glass of blueberry juice. And then for the whole day, 370 milligrams of sodium. And so basically, that's how we track our progress. And so now God has us in the season where I don't have to track it that closely, but still keep an eye on it, because there came a day where I got close to 700, but that's because I had chili, spaghetti, and then a 2-egg omelet and things like that, because we're now upping the protein, you see? So we have to kind of back and forth. But then, we still do relatively well. Like we still had a 350 milligram day on the 10th of December. So that really just to give y'all general idea. Okay, so again, for a visual, okay, on how we track the number of salt that's in what we wrote down what we had. Okay, so there you go. That's tracking your progress. All right, and just to make sure that you can, because there will come a day where you won't have to do this once you note that you'll know, your body will tell you. All right, in other words, you won't be easily hot, right? You won't touch a certain part of your body and it be like hot, because that's where a metal molecule is, and that's where the salt's at. So there you go. And then, of course, I've got mine. Now, so far for today, all right, the 25th of December of 2023 with breakfast and lunch, because, right, I had that a Philly cheese on an almond wrap, and then tuna salad with some peas, mayo, and spicy brown mustard. So we're already at 450 milligrams for today. So for dinner, it's going to be probably not even 100 milligrams. Maybe a drumstick and some green superfood soup. So, that's how we do it. And we just try to make sure that we're staying under our baseline as much as possible. And then eventually we'll be able to go back to not having to even look at that anymore, because all of the excess will be out. It takes time, y'all. Seriously. This is why God said you can track your progress, right, as your motivation. And yes, for your internal validation. But you don't need external validation, right? Yeah, no, chosen ones don't need that. And so I'm glad that I was able to share that with you all. Okay, so how much salt is on a teaspoon in milligram or tablespoon? I need some measuring cups. Well, if it tells you, for example, like I know on the back of the hot sauce, okay, it said that there's 35 milligrams of sodium per serving, and their serving suggestion is 1 tablespoon. So yeah, it's not a bad idea. That's what I did. Okay, let me show y'all to help you put it in perspective. Okay, that's right. To help y'all put it in perspective, and it's all part of the 5 P's. Do you realize what you're doing here? You're utilizing the 5 P's. You're planning, right? Okay, and so when you get to that point, you'll see sodium in serving size. Usually it'll say about 1/4 cup, right? And so I had this out, and then for a lot of it, it said 1 tablespoon, like that hot sauce, right? And then some of them will say 1 teaspoon. So you can even have that out too, right? 1 teaspoon, which is this purple one, okay? So you could have those out so that you could start to get a visual. That's what I did, okay? And it works, because now I realized when I did that for the hot sauce on the table, and I put it on the omelet, and I went, whoa, I said, that's way more than I would usually put on anyhow. So what that means is that I was not getting the full 35 milligrams. I was probably getting about half of that, because I would just spice it up just enough. You know what I'm saying? So you'll see that about how you would do things. So yes, I highly encourage you all, if you are doing that, all right, to reduce the amount of sodium that you are intaking, because that is the conduit for radio frequency poisoning. So I do highly encourage you to make sure you have at least a simple set of measuring cups, okay? If you don't already have them, they're not that expensive, okay? They're not. And so, all right, real deal. Thank you. Quick hello. Yes, okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, thank you for letting us know and for stopping in to say a quick hello. Thank you. And yeah, if you can see the amount, it helps you gauge the intake. Absolutely. So that's why when you start tracking your progress, then you'll notice that, okay, it's an approximate, because like, well, I had mayo, but I didn't have the full tablespoon, so I can cut that 70 milligrams to half to 35, that kind of thing, right? Okay, so that way you kind of estimate. That's what I do. I just estimate it, and it's gonna be close enough, okay, as far as how often. And then it becomes second nature, right? Because the more you see what 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon or 1/4 cup looks like, the more you see that, you won't have to use the measuring. I don't have to use these anymore, right? So it just to get started, right? And then track your progress that way, so that you're better managing the amount of sodium. And you are going to notice, one of the first things that you'll notice, your energy level will increase. Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah, I didn't realize, I mean, not that I didn't have any energy when I wasn't on the blood type diet the way I needed to be. Hey, I was deviating from it, even though I still had energy. I didn't realize that it wasn't up to par until I started doing this and helping the body eliminate excess salt. And I remember telling the engineers before we hopped on the drive-by that one day I told them, I said, I had to keep myself in check. I was just like, and anyhow, so that's one of the first things you'll notice. And my tip for you on that is listen to God, because he had to step in a few times and tell me stop. Just because you start to feel better doesn't mean you go again. Okay? No. Because there's going to be moments down the road as you are healing from that. Okay? Yes, that it's going to go through another period. Okay? It's like a reversal, right? So, like what I'm experiencing right now, okay, is a lesser. Let's just say that how do I put this? All right, the very first go round of getting the excess out and process of elimination, right? Of figuring out what causing that to do what. Okay. So the first go round, it was a bit like, okay. All right. And the second go round, it's like, okay. As we went through that, and so now we're on the final go round as far as it's not going through the exact same stuff, but paying attention enough to know, okay, the enemy's trying to trick me into going back to using something again that I don't need to use. I've already got past that season. But God needs us to take it easy. Slow down. Let the newfound revelation that God reveals to you, let it digest. Okay, like when he revealed to me about the bathroom LED light and then the kitchen light, because I was sitting here trying to figure out, okay, why is that doing that here? And then he reminded me. He said, "Well, what do you feel right here? I feel heat." Okay, well, what's that light doing? Okay, right. So it exactly, okay, from radio frequency. And so the two places of the body that you are going to notice your body's going to get rid of excess heat, it's going to be through the top of your head, the enemy knows it, and then the bottom of your feet. Okay? So that's why when I come back in from a walk or go into the little gym there, when I come back in, I stretch and I let myself cool down, but I get them socks off because my feet are hot. I can feel it. And then I can smell the salt in my socks. Okay? So that's one thing that is a benefit for letting your body adapt to taking in less salt, is that you'll notice that the sweat and your feet, all that, all that stink goes away. Oh, I know. Some of y'all know that. But I found that out the first time I got on the blood type diet, and I started doing that for a long time, many years, like three and a half years or so. I didn't have issue with my feet like that anymore because I had reduced to a point where my body was able to process it and eliminate any excess naturally, and then use what it needed. And so, okay, see, yeah, okay, you sometimes can taste the salt when you blow your nose. Well, there you go. Remember that, it's that, like you'll learn about on the Patreon channel, okay, all about that radio frequency and more, and what it does, how salt plays a role, how mucus plays a role, and all of that, because it's the metal toxin that causes pain and pain, okay? Yes. So it's time for another short break. You're going to learn more about that Patreon channel, so stay tuned for more about tracking your progress and getting your questions answered when we come back. CHA's Patreon membership channel is another place you can support this ministry and work for as little as $5 a month. When you become a member of CHA's Patreon membership channel, you will unlock access to a lot of content that will help you purge that subconscious mind of worldly garbage to make room for more of God's wisdom. We have been lied to since birth about a lot of things. On CHA's Patreon membership channel, we make real-world connections to the spiritual realm and more. The link to CHA's Patreon membership channel is listed on the My Social page of the website at CDHRWDRMD.org, also linked in the description below. Thank you for becoming a loyal member of CHA's Patreon channel. Sending love and light always. Welcome back. All right, everybody. So yes, there's your track your progress for the Saul tip with the notebook. However it is that you find that works for you to do that. And so, God says that we can track our progress because that gives us internal validation. Never forget, it's so important because that's right. It's so important because we don't need the external validation. It don't matter what they think. Well, listen, when it comes to the evildoers, we know what they're thinking. But we don't care. All right? We learn to stop caring what other people think. It doesn't matter. In fact, it's none of our business. So we have to stay focused on what we want, okay, to accomplish, that God needs us to accomplish, right, for improvement. Remember, this whole transformation, okay, is to become the best version that God created. All right, remember the renewing of the mind. Let me get you my hair. Okay, the whole process for the transformation takes time. And it's not for the faint at heart, you see, because in order for us to be transformed into the best version that God created us to be, we've got to have patience. Okay? So that's the biggest tip right there is, oh my goodness, yeah, is unlearning that indoctrination of impatience because of the simple fact that, yeah, you're not going to see results like in 24 hours. Okay? Of course, it depends on whatever it is, but for most things, no. Well, now, if you're cooking the recipe and stuff, yeah, you're going to see the results of the meal. That's not what we're talking about. Okay? We're talking about your goal. Right? Remember the SMART goal from the 5 P course? Okay. So you can utilize those 5 P's workbooks. Okay, you all? Yes. I highly encourage you to do so because, yeah, the 5 P's course can help you with this. Track your progress. In any of the 5 P's, you track your progress. I know progress begins with P as well, but that 5 P's towards your progress. You see? Plan, prepare, produce, position, and promote. Now, what would be the promoting of your progress? Exactly. You getting to share your results with fellow chosen ones and showing them, hey, it does work. Hey, it's not too late. No, you're not too old. Remember, we got to unlearn that worldly garbage, right? There you go. Purging that subconscious of the worldly garbage because, tracking our progress for whatever it is that God needs us to accomplish. That's what God said we need to do. Because if we don't, okay, because God likes to show us our progress. So he reminded me of how far we have come since being awakened. And I'm like, wow, just how far we have come. And for what we all have been through our entire life. and how we're finally able to, not just let it go, but continue to move forward and track our progress. Yes, you're welcome. Okay, is there any way we can reduce metal particle intake? If we're breathing it in. I would not put too much focus. If you're outside and you are power walking, you've got to get the oxygen in. Trust God. Remember my analogy? Okay, well, it's not really mine, it's God. Because I can tell you when the air is cooler out there and I go for a walk and I am breathing in for the oxygen, I can tell you that God got those tennis rackets out now. And he ain't letting them suckers get in there like that. Okay? That's the way I do it. Okay? I don't allow the thought of it. Okay? I know that we're going to be exposed to it. It's a matter of limiting our exposure. As far as the metal intake, you got to remember there are some necessary ones in small amounts that we do take in for proper nervous system function. And that's usually your zinc, copper, okay, things like that, but in very small amounts. Okay. So I would not set your focus too much on that, because I will tell you this. By reducing the amount of salt that you intake, you will in turn reduce the amount of metal that when they get in there, they won't stay for very long. So when you reduce the salt intake, you reduce the amount of metal toxin that would otherwise remain for a longer period of time. Because what they need is salt to be heated to expand inside the mucus pocket, right? So and it would trick a lot of people into thinking things about themselves that aren't true. And so you'll learn this quickly. So it kind of goes hand in hand. That's why I was like, don't focus too much on the metal side. Right? They're there. We know they're there. We're like, okay. And then also burning fat, like burning any excess fat, that helps. Okay, so when you reduce the salt intake and then you are in fat burning mode, you're giving yourself wonderful ways of getting rid of metal toxin and other toxins as well, because those two work hand in hand. Remember, fatty tissue is what the metal particles really like, and they're not because they can't they don't traverse through fatty tissue, but they are water soluble. So that's why here's the other tip I have for y'all. I don't know if I have a track your progress. You'll just kind of know, because your body will tell you as you become more aware. If you've got anything like ice packs or what have you, and there's an area of your body that is really warm, okay, because that there's right, and it's not hot outside, but your body is just unusually warm, and you feel fine. That you ain't got nothing, because Jesus cleans everything. And so you're like, okay, that's kind of warm. Put a little ice on there. Because what that means is that if that's really warm, and it shouldn't be, right? If it's warmer than usual, put a little ice on there, because that'll help to shrink. Remember how metal molecules are smaller in cooler temps. And so as they shrink, they will be able to be released. Water, and then eliminated. They are water soluble. So there you go. Yes, you're welcome for those tips. But I would not set your entire focus on that aspect, because that's going to be a given. The excess toxins are going to eliminate when you are burning fat and reducing your salt intake. It's a natural thing that's going to occur, and you're going to start to feel a lot better. Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, and so you can utilize the 5P And, however it is you want to track your progress with that, really, like I showed you, intake, and you'll notice you want to make sure that you don't try to rush the process either. Okay, remember, anything that God has us working on, so that, right, we're on this journey together, so that we can live healthier lives. Okay, for healthier living. See, that's all part of consulting for heightened awareness, y'all. God revealed it to me. He said, honey child, he said, this is all part of trauma healing and spiritual growth, because the closer to God we get, the more we increase, right? Well, to get closer to God, go within, right? We gotta, okay, God, what's going on here? Once we've learned about the world and how it operates with radio frequency and radio frequency poisoning and things like that. And so now God, this is part of our mission for that trauma healing and spiritual growth. It's now on the website homepage and the mission statement, okay, as well. That we are at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. We are combating radio frequency poisoning for healthier living. That's right. So it's all part of pushing back against that game of narcissism that the enemy likes to play on the world stage. Because let's face it, we're not going to be able to escape the frequency, but there are a lot of things we can do, and this is just one of them, okay, is to monitor that salt intake and, right, don't stress yourself out, okay? And even if you do go past your baseline one day, don't beat yourself up. That's the big thing. Don't do that. That's a trick of the enemy, okay? It's okay. God will get you through that. It's not the end of the world, okay? All right, if we don't meet a particular goal for that day or what have you, it's not the end of the world. Somebody needs to hear that. All right, so for those of you who would like to learn more about the 5P coaching course, you came to the right place. Time for our final short break, because the 5Ps, those workbooks, can be used to help you track your progress with whatever goal it is you're trying to reach. So stay tuned to get the wrap up about tracking your progress and getting your questions answered when we come back.
Are you ready to get better organized in thought and action to level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth? The 5P coaching course at CHA Academy is for you. You will learn the tried and true techniques that will help you get better organized in thought and action to get things done effectively and efficiently. Once you begin putting the 5Ps in action, you will quickly see how they often work together simultaneously. Once enrolled in the course, you receive lifetime access to the course materials and the community forum where masterclasses are available at no additional cost. You can learn more about the 5P coaching course at CHAacademybtbw.com and click on all courses. Thank you for enrolling. Sending love and light always.
All right, welcome back. All right, everyone. And if I go slightly over an hour today, that's it. Okay, those are your 3 short breaks. I want to make sure all of your questions get answered. And if you catch this on the replay and leave questions in the comments, I'll get to those too as soon as possible. All right, so the question, okay, in the diet, do I have an emphasis more on protein than carbs? Well, naturally, yeah. Basically, what I do, okay, is I try to get close to 30 grams per main meal of protein. That's a mix of animal and plant protein. And then, whether it be walnuts, almond butter, what have you. Okay, I try to get at least 30 per meal. Now, if I have a little snack, like let's say a rice cake with a little farmer cheese and my homemade strawberry jam, like that right there pretty much is, the farmer cheese only has 25 milligrams per serving. So that's not a large amount of salt, but it has has some milk protein. Okay, and then the brown rice, has a little bit of protein in the snack. But for the main meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? For those three, because right there, I can easily get about 90 grams of protein just in that alone. Right? That's the goal, the aim, really, on a daily basis, where possible. It doesn't always happen, but that's what we definitely try to do. And as far as the carb, brown rice and sweet potatoes are the good carbs. So I have brown rice noodles, and then, regular rice noodles is fine, and then regular white rice is fine as well. It's not bad, but the brown rice and brown rice noodles, those are considered the better, or healthier carbs, if you will. And then as far as I have almond wraps that have a little bit of carb, but it's not high. Not high carb at all. But so yeah, pretty much. When I deviated from it, I went a bit overboard on the carbs and a reduction in protein. That wasn't good for me at all. And so it's just the way it is, and so now we're each day making that progress, right? Back on the diet. And so we are finding other ways. And I'm still going to work on whether or not I can make my own protein powders. But in the meantime, while we are still reaching other goals, and then here's the tip I have for you all. Once you reach that goal, for example, like the numbers I have on that list, once I reach those numbers and it's all good, right? Going forward after that, the goal is just going to be to stay toned. To stay toned and stay healthy. You know what I mean? Stay toned, stay healthy, stay active, keep coming on and serving y'all, sharing with you all God's wisdom. That's right. And other things. Okay. And lead by example, right? Okay, there you go. So just know that a little step is better than no step, right? Like I said in the beginning. So I want you to really remind yourself of that so that you don't get tricked by the enemy into self-disappointment or self-discouragement and then just give up and give in. Because that's what the enemy wants, He wants people to give up and give in, which is what the narcissists do. Right? They buckle under pressure. Chosen ones don't buckle under pressure. In fact, if we sense or we encounter any kind of pressure, also known as resistance, we know that with God, all things are possible, right? So with God, there's a way around that. Gotta find it. Work out that salvation with the Heavenly Father, okay? Remember that helmet of salvation. So we're like, okay. And we get around that resistance. And so that's why we remind ourselves that it might be a small step. Let me give y'all an example, okay? Right? Because let's say I'm sitting here and I'm noticing for the first time in, I want to say, May, June, July. Okay. Entering into the 9th month since I quit smoking cigarettes, right, in 2023. So I hadn't even noticed. I mean, I knew that my thumbnail, they had like yellowish around the edges. And for years, I thought that the main cause of that was because I used to wear nails. I used to have acrylic nails years ago. And I hadn't worn those. I hadn't had my nails done like that in many years now. And so I was like, well, I guess that's the damage from those. But the ridges and the damage that I thought was the cause from that, I'm sure some of that played a role, but it was cigarette smoking. Because now, look, no yellow. and the rigid were going away. I said, I'll take it. I was like, whoa. I was like, thank you, Heavenly Father. That's progress. And so I was like, okay, I can celebrate that. Absolutely. And that's also a motivation to stay smoke free, to stay cigarette free. Because I don't want them yellow raggedy nails back. I don't want those back. So I was like, okay. Oh, there you go. Something like that, y'all. Because that gives you additional internal validation from God. God's the only validation we need. So, yes, that's what they were. Nicotine stains. Absolutely. Yep. I have seen the bodybuilder protein shakes. Yes, I have. And for my blood type, the whey protein doesn't do anything for me. When I embarked on trying to tone and build muscle, yeah, with that Jezebel that I was dating at the time, that you read about, who was a bodybuilder in Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse. Okay. At the time, because we had that in common, I was not bodybuilding. I was just trying to get in shape. So I was drinking the whey protein and I was doing some stuff, but I never saw results. And so when I looked in the blood type diet encyclopedia that I got, and it said that avoid whey protein, and I went, oh, well, that explains why it didn't do anything for me. So, yes, thank you. That nice clear nail. I know, like, that's so cool. And but yeah, I've seen the several different kinds, and then now they also have a bunch of plant-based proteins and things like that as well. Like I've got a thing up there of pea protein, and so yeah, and that's fine. But I don't go overboard. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not gonna sit there and go 2 or 3 of those a day. No, if I can get into the habit of maybe putting a scoop in a fruit smoothie, that'll work great. So like the rice protein, okay, is right. The rice protein, vanilla or chocolate flavor, I can put a scoop of that in my banana strawberry fruit smoothie. There you go. That'll work. Because what burns fat? Protein and fruits. For whoever needs that reminder. Yes, and yes, the cost saving. There you go. By not getting cigarettes. Yeah, it really is going to depend because all I can tell you from experience is being on the blood type diet as a type O, it tells me that whey protein is not for me. So I got to find the alternates like I do. Pea protein, rice protein, and then of course from food, right? A combination thereof. So vegetable protein, absolutely, it all counts. It all counts. So there you go. Yeah, and really, if you do embark on those bodybuilder shakes and it works for you, stay with it. See, that's the whole thing, y'all. Track our progress also, right? When we track our progress, we all learn what works for us. Remember, God made us each individual and unique. So what we got to do is not be afraid to experiment, try out new things. Okay, right? And so like when I tried that whey protein, now I know it don't work for me. But I do know that egg protein, rice protein, pea protein works. There you go. Because I've done that before. Because I don't know if some of y'all noticed in the very first video, when I first started getting up here, I was a bit more toned than I am right now. And so we're not just getting back to that, but God said, yeah, I know. He said, honey child, he said, it's going to be even better than that. We got goals. Because the goals that I had set, right? The goals that I had set, I didn't quite get to. Now we can get to them, right? The visions I had. Now we can get to them. And I'm not talking about bodybuilding. No, I'm talking about getting toned and staying that way. Okay? And also, yes, with a little bit more muscle mass. Just a little bit. Okay? So that's that to share with you all. Because, God says he gives us these visions when he gives them to us for a reason. Because there's going to come a day where he's going to be guiding your steps and you're going to be seeing that vision become a reality. I'm here to remind you of that. Making my own fruit juices and soups was a vision I had. And God just expanded on it. Yeah, God is a God of abundance. So you know how I get protein in my soups and juices? Beans. For example, for my creamy portobello, I had to rename it based on the bean. Let me share with y'all an example. Let's see, I had to rename it. Okay. Creamy portobello mushroom. There we go. I had to rename it because I came up with another creamy portobello with black-eyed peas. So creamy black-eyed bella mushroom soup. I know, but it's black-eyed peas that I use in that one. And then the creamy lim bella mushroom soup, I used the large lima bean as the creamy part. So that's just to give y'all an example of how I do that. And that's protein and potassium right there. So there's a tip on that. And thank you for your patience on the Patreon digital product line that we are putting together for you all. It's already done. I just have to, I want it to be in its simplicity as well. Okay, so there you go. Okay, if you want to, let me go ahead and type for the one you want to try that out already. And see, that's one of the things that's coming to you. So let me go ahead and give you a sneak preview. I'm going to put it in the comments over here for you all. Anybody who is interested in, because I would tell you, it's very soothing. See, we're not in God's reality eating to try and please the flesh anymore. No, we are all about nutrition, okay? We're looking at these things as nutrition, okay? So, all right, I did, let's see, it's a half cup of large lima bean, dry. I soaked the beans overnight. Okay, and then I got anywhere from 8 to 12 ounces of let's see if I can spell that right. If I didn't spell portobello right, my bad, but okay. And then quarter cup onion, garlic powder to taste, like maybe a pinch or maybe a half a teaspoon, whatever it is that you like. Okay, and then 1/4 cup fresh basil. Okay, and that approximately 16 grams of protein. But it's going to give you several servings of anywhere, maybe 5 to 8 grams of protein, depending on the size of the serving. Or if you eat the whole thing at once, I get about 4 cups of soup. Well, actually, more than that, depends on how many scoops. But there you go. All right, that's just to give y'all a heads up. And what I do with all of those, okay, with those ingredients, with the lima beans, I soak them overnight, and those get cooked first, right? They cook until they are so soft, right? Sometimes they come out of their shell, but keep the shell. There's fiber there, all right? Don't be getting rid of that. Leave it in there with the water. A lot of people would say, don't use the water that you cooked them in, or don't use the water that you soaked them in. Why not? Because you're going to cook them, right? You're going to bring it to a boil. So if there's anything in the water, it's going to, there you go. There's nothing wrong with that, because the nutrients is what you're after, right? And so once the lima beans are nice and soft, and I mean soft, okay, because they're going to do that, they're creamy. And then I throw in the onion and bella mushroom, get those cooked, right? And those don't take as long as the beans. So once those are cooked, then we take all of it, right? I'll scoop out the beans and the mushrooms and the onion, put it in the blender. And then that should fill it up about halfway. A normal size blender should fill it up about halfway, right? And then I'll take some of that water in the pan, a little bit in there, because if you want the creamy, right? So you'll kind of gauge how much water, depending on how thick you like it. Like I like mine to be pretty thick. So keep an eye on that. And then I'll add dash of garlic, okay? And then the quarter cup basil. And then, I blend it together. And I'm going to tell y'all, I had to give it 5 stars, boy. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's to get y'all started. Okay, just give you an idea, a heads up. So there you go. Yeah, just a simple recipe. Okay, mark those tips at 105. Okay, there you go. Like I said, if we end up going over an hour on this Motivational Monday show today, that's all right, because I wanted to give y'all that, and then you can, track your progress. And I've noticed that my choker. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. It's real simple. It's just gonna take patience, obviously. Okay, it's gonna take patience to make that soup, but it's a great way to beat them at their own game on the world stage with the narcissism, where they put those, portobello mushrooms are known for their source of vitamin D, right? So there you go. Let's say you go to the store, right, and you buy the family pack of portobello mushroom, right? Say you do that, and you get home, and then you realize, those don't look like they're going to make it, but for a couple of days. That's because some of the stores wait until, they're almost expired, while they make it cloudy outside, so you ain't getting no sunshine this time of year, right? Right. Okay, because that's what the enemy has to do. You got to try and deplete your body of vitamin D and other nutrients, right? Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so you can take a multivitamin all day long, but it's always best to get the nutrient from food. So how do you combat that and not end up throwing away a whole pack of portobello mushroom? By making the portobello mushroom soup, the Michelle Limbella soup. And then you could also, if you want to make it into a juice, then you can put a couple of teaspoons and add water and stir it up. Now you got a Limbella mushroom juice. A win-win. So you get your vitamin D, you get your, and with the lima beans, you get your, you get your potassium, protein, and even in the bella mushrooms, you get 3 grams approximately of protein in each one. That's what I've read. So there you go. I mean, it's just, real simple, all natural ingredients, and I guarantee you that you will eat up on that soup within the week. Oh yeah, because it's very soothing, because it's very nutritional. That's why. It's full of nutrients. Notice that there's no salt added. No, none. Okay? So there you go. All right, we're going to wrap that up on this Motivational Monday episode for today. I thank y'all. Track messages. You can catch more of those on the replay. And we invite you to join us on this journey at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, a growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. That's right. We're all about trauma healing and spiritual growth, and part of that is combating radio frequency poisoning for healthier living. That's right. Yeah. And that portobello mushroom soup, that limbella mushroom soup, that's just the basic. You can modify, fine-tune, tweak. Okay, you can even add some cayenne pepper if you want. I mean, it's up to you. I'm just giving you the foundation, all right, for that nutrition to help fight back against the game they play with the system of narcissism out there. All right, everybody, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Motivational Monday show. Yes, another extension of Consulting for Heightened Awareness, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHA Academy, BW.com. The link to the Academy is in the description below for quicker access. Some of y'all may need to copy and paste. The link to view what CHA Academy, BTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.